Good morning, everybody. No flea market today, so I'm bored. So I'll get to the contest winners, and we'll get to a new, interesting, funny contest having to do with this my banking situation. Uh, but I want to talk first about margins and margin calls. Uh, if I have an account uh, and say it's worth $100,000, then Citigroup or whoever the account's with will tell me, well, you can borrow up to 72,000 on that at a reasonable interest and buy more securities. Well, if I decide that I think I'm a smarty pants and I buy $70,000 worth, and say the market goes south, and and it turns out that my 100,000 is turned into to 90,000. So I lose 10% of my borrowing ability. Now, what I have to do at that junction, I get a margin call, and they tell me I've got to come up with 10,000 bucks because now my ability to borrow has dropped from 70,000 down to 63,000. So I have to cover that. So that can be a slippery slope because it can, if the market continues to drop, then you get another margin call, and that causes a lot of times just the margin calls cause cause such a decline in the market that it's self-fulfilling prophecy and you lose your ass. But the other thing is that the government will allow, say J.P. Morgan, that they'll allow them to sell contracts on stuff they don't have. Now, say they allow them to sell for every ounce of silver they actually hold, they'll allow them to sell 100 ounces on paper silver. Now, if they feel that the market is getting way too jammed up, uh, and they want to, they can change that margin. They can bring it down to 50. All right, so then Goldman Sachs either has to cover those other 50 ounces with actual ounces, or they have to buy them uh, out, or they have to sell those contracts, which forces the price of silver down dramatically. All right, so now it's sitting at they own 1 ounce for every 50 contracts ounces of silver they sell. So they decide, well, the market isn't pushed down enough. We're going to make it 1 in 30. Well, then Goldman has to take those other 20 and they have to sell those, get rid of those contracts because they're not covered, or they have to come in and buy silver to cover those contracts. So even though we have to deal with the paper manipulators, the the Soroses and the Slims, we also have to deal with the government's fear of the price of silver going too high. So at any junction, they can come in and change the margin at which the bank, uh, J.P. Morgan especially, uh, are allowed to sell silver compared to the silver they actually hold. So really, the little guy stands very little chance until the silver market becomes so small that the government is going to require maybe 1 ounce for every 10 contracts. Who knows? But the lower it is, the relationship of the ounces to the contracts, the better it is for us. But getting there is what kills you. See, but once you're there, then that's a great buying opportunity, and I'm hoping that the government stays out of it. But in order to help the bigger guys cover their ass, they might not. So anyway, enough of that crap. We don't have to worry about it because we don't have anything to do with it, and never will. Now, uh, I will announce the new contest, and then I'll announce the winner and the guys that came close in the old contest. And there's a little conundrum about this, about the old contest. I've got people, I've got people telling me that this is 50% silver, and other people's telling me it's 90% silver. So I usually refer to Jared because I don't know anybody knows more about Canadian coins than he does, and he says it's 50 cents. And I've had a couple of emails telling me that that it's 90%, but either way, this percentage will be in the mail tomorrow. Okay, now the next contest, you've all heard me talk about, well, about I'm always bored, but about going this Thursday. The bank's finally going to get me $500 worth of 50-cent pieces. So I got 1,000 50-cent pieces coming in, and I'm going to go through them. But the idea on my 50-cent pieces, if you heard it last time, was that I'm going to put them. I'm not going to take them back to the bank, and I really don't care how many are silver or not. It would be nice if I had got some silver in there, but I'm going to circulate them around Violent. I'm going to pay some bills with them, and get the idea to the people that they don't make 50-cent pieces for circulation anymore. They make them for proof sets and crap like that. Uh, and as a matter of fact, the banks can't even get the new 50-cent pieces, the 2013s or the 2012s either. So my hope is that we'll start a little movement here, and they're always looking to try to force these damn little quarter-sized dollar coins on us. But here's an opportunity: you retire 50-cent pieces. There's no drawer for them at any cashier you ever saw, and you replace the 50-cent piece with a dollar coin that's the size of a 50-cent piece, because then you can reach in your pocket and right away you know what you got. But aside from that, here's the contest. I'm going to get 1,000 50-cent pieces. I'm going to look through the rolls, and you have to guess if there are any 40 percenters in there, if there are any 90 percenters in there, and guess how many. Now the next thing is there might not be any, and I'm going on the presumption that there are none. So the first part of the contest is how many silver coins I'm going to find, whether they're 40 percenters or 90 percenters, and then that's the total number, and then a breakdown of how many 40s. That's the first tiebreaker. How many 40s and how many 90s. Then, if there are neither 40s or 90s, the third part of the question is of the contest is then what is the oldest coin in the 1,000, and how many of them are there? So it's three parts. If you think there's going to be silver, then you put the total number, and then you have to break it down between Kennedy 40 percenters and 90% pre 64 and pre 64 90 percenters, and then on top of that, the third one is if there are none, which I doubt there are, then you have to tell me what the oldest 50-cent piece in there and how many of them there are. So that's simple enough. Yeah, right. So, but here's the contest. Here's the winner. All right, now, don't get too excited because uh, the first three people were close. Mr. Abnormal was off by one. I, I Skype with him almost every day. He's going to freak out. And then a guy called SYGYSYGY, whoever, had 177, and he was off by three. And then TC Morgan had 178. So those guys were close. But the winner is I Look for Coins, and he guessed right smack dab on top of it, which was 174 coins. Now that means I got to clean this damn desk up. This is ridiculous. But I'll be in touch with I Look for Coins, and it's funny because a couple, I guess, a year and a half, 2 years ago, I traded him for some silver for some fossils. Uh, it's a real nice kid that breeds, at least he was, breeds different colored boa constrictors, I think. But anyway, I Look for Coins is the winner, and I congratulate you, and I wish you were here to clean out my desk, but you will get the either 50% or the 90% Indian, and I'm pretty sure it's probably 50%, but it doesn't matter. Okay, everybody, get your guesses in, and another part of this is that of course you have to be subbed, but leave a comment. I enjoy comments. I don't enjoy just somebody throwing a number out. I mean, that's legitimate. That's but it's always more fun to communicate with you. And I must say that Golden Pharaoh has outshined again, and I am but his willing servant.